Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Please hit the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel, like and as well share this video. Today we are going to be looking at data presentation and analysis. Data presentation and analysis. Now, this is the chapter 4 of a research project. This is the chapter 4 of the research project. And of course, because it is chapter 4, it is numbered 4.1, 4.2, and all of that. So, under the chapter 4, there are two major things that you must pay attention to. The first is 4.1, which is data presentation. How do you do this data presentation? How do you even present your data, having collected it from the field? Okay, so now don't forget that in chapter 3, we're talking about data collection instruments like observation, questionnaire, interview, focus group discussion. So, but most times it is questionnaire and interview that most scholars use. So if you use questionnaire, this is exactly how to actually present the data. Okay, so in your 4.1, which is data presentation, you are going to start with table 4.1. And then table 4.1 will be questionnaire distributed and returned. Questionnaire distributed and returned. You are going to open a table. You are going to have a table. Now, on this table, you are going to mention clearly the number of questionnaires that have been distributed and the number of questionnaires that were returned and the number of questionnaires that were not returned. Okay, don't forget that if you're using Taro-Yamani formula for for your sample size, okay, what it amounts to is actually 400. That is, if it is Taro-Yamani formula, is 400. Now, if it is 400, okay, so the questionnaire distributed will be 400. Don't forget that there's no way you will distribute 400 and you're going to get the whole 400 back. In fact, if you distributed 400 and you still got 400 back, it means there's a problem somewhere. In fact, the examiner is going to query it because there's no way you're going to get, which means there's something fishing somewhere. In fact, it will tell the exam, it will raise an eyebrow. So it is actually important that you know that there's no way you're going to distribute 400 and still retrieve 400. So if you distribute 400, let's take for instance that 20 did not come back, or 10 did not come back, or 18 did not come back, or 12 did not come back, or 8 did not come back, depending on how many did not come back. So whatever, of course, if you distributed 400 and 20 did not come back, you are going to actually state under the questionnaire retrieved that 380 were retrieved. And then you are also going to talk about the one that was not that were not returned. You're going to talk about it that 20 was not returned. Okay, now having done that, and you need to do an analysis of it under the table. You understand? For example, having stated, don't forget, I told you that the numbering is table 4.1. Okay, at the end of the day, you put the table and then you put the source. Most times it is, most times you're going to put the source. The source will now be field survey. Field survey, and you put the month and the year. The month and the year. That is the source of the table. Okay, the source will be field survey. You put the month and then the year. Okay, so after you have done that, you are going to do an analysis that from table 4.1, the questionnaire distributed was 400. Okay, or were 400. The questionnaire retrieved were 380, and the questionnaire not retrieved were were 20. And then you need to actually talk about it. That for ECOWAS, how many questionnaire came back and how many did not come back? Okay, how many was distributed? How many was distributed? How many came back and how many did not come back? For the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, how many were distributed? How many came back and how many did not come back? For the office of, that is ONSA, that is Office of National Security Advisor, how many went there? How many did not come back and how many came back? You need to explain succinctly. Then under the table, like I said, you have to do an analysis of it. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to do, data presentation. After you have done table 4.1, table 4.2 will be talking about the biodata of the respondents. Okay, so you are going to talk about the sex of the respondents. Okay, you are going to talk about how many were female and how many were male. Okay, or how many are female, how many are males. Okay, so those things you have to talk about them succinctly. That's 4.2. 4.3 will be 4.3 will be the occupation of the respondents. 4.4 will be educational qualification of the respondents. Okay, after you have done that, you now go to table 4.5. 4.5 will now be the presentation of the questionnaire. Okay, the presentation of the data collected in the questionnaire or from the questionnaire. So 4.5 or 4.6, as the case may be, table 4.6 will now be the first question. So don't forget that if you have 20 questions in the questionnaire, you are going to have 20 tables. Each question will have one table. Each question will have one table. Okay, so you are going to have all of the table. That is where you do your data analysis. Then then number 4.2, don't forget that 4.1 is data presentation. Then 4.2 will be discussion of findings. Discussion of findings. Now, what do you do under the discussion of findings? Now, the discussion of findings is actually, is talking about the summary of findings based on the propositions. Summary of findings based on the proposition. So, proposition 1 will be stated. The findings, don't forget that I told you that when you are structuring the questions in the questionnaire, you structure it based on the propositions. It is because of this time, it is because of this section now that you are actually, structured your questionnaire based on the proposition, so that if you want to do discussion of findings, the discussion of findings will be done based on the propositions. So you are going to state your first proposition. After you have stated it, the next thing that happens is you are going to summarize all the findings under that propositions. After you have summarized all the findings, you now bring in works of scholars that either agree or disagree with it. After you have said that, you are going to add your own. You are going to add your own to it. After you have added your own, you go to proposition 2. What you did under proposition 1, you will do it under proposition 2. You will do it in proposition 3. You do it in proposition 4. Having done that, you have actually done your chapter 4. Your chapter 4. Let me do a quick recap. 4.1, don't forget the topic of chapter 4 is data presentation and analysis. Now 4.1 is data presentation. Under a data presentation, you talk about table 4.1, questionnaire distribution and retrieved. Okay, table 4.2 will be gender of the respondents, or sex distribution of the respondents. Okay, 4.3, table 4.3 will be educational qualification of the respondents. Table 4.4 will be occupation of the respondents. After if you like, you can do the 4.5 marital status. After you have done that, you go to table 4.6. Then you begin to take all the questionnaire questions one after the other. Then after that, you go to 4.2. 4.2 discussion of findings, and you're going to discuss the findings based on the propositions. Now you state the first proposition, you summarize all the findings under it, and then you put the work of scholar that either agrees or disagrees with the with the findings that you stated. After that, you add your own. You do it for proposition 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you are done with chapter 4. Thank you very much.